Okay, now we're going into the system. These pages you'll be able to see right on the website. You can go to them anytime, and this is where there's nothing hidden. I want nothing hidden. There's no secrets. The basis is integrity, honesty, simplicity. You can't have any of those when something's hidden. So basically what it does is it tells you exactly what the commissions are. Right here, 3.5% or $7 per unit, which is generally going to be a ton, is what we get, whichever one is greater. Just like I said, the buyers will not be allowed to haul any more than 20% of the contract without being paid in full. And basically, okay, what that does is that takes a huge lift off of me. It should take a huge lift off of the producer, because he knows that I've got that 20% down payment already. So 20% is going to be covered on the trucks, on the producer, on me. Okay? I'm not having to put out money. But now if he doesn't pay on that 20%, we're out nothing. We're in a pain, and I'm still going to go after him because he's legal. He owes that other 20%. He can back out of the contract. I can void the contract, and he's still liable for that 20% down. But the fact is, it's not going to kill any of us because that 20% is there. Okay? The same thing goes on for the buyer. As long as you got that 20% down, you own that contract. The producer cannot back out of that contract as long as that money is there. Okay? So they can have all the offers in the world, but they can't back out of it as long as you got that money up front. Okay, let me sorry, kind of ignorant to a lot of this stuff. I'm sure you guys can probably understand all that, but anyhow, you can kind of go through and you can see all my rates for transportation services. They're broke down right here. Anything greater than 400 miles, and this is how I can give you or the system can give you a cost per ton delivered into your yard. Anything greater than 400 miles, the trucks will get $2.50 per mile. Anything between 400 and 300 miles will get $3.25 per mile. Anything less than 200 miles will get $4 per mile. Which there's, this is probably an old sheet, but I did put there is a minimum charge of $600. So let's all face it, we know it's the truth. If a guy hauls hay from you from 10 miles down the road and comes to your house, you cannot expect him to do it for 40 bucks. It's going to take 3 hours. That truck costs money. So it is what it is. We put a $600 minimum on that hay. Okay? Our calculated system will figure it out. When you're logged in, it'll have your price right on there. Now, if you buy round bales, any round bales, or small square bales, which I'm trying to take the small square bales completely out of the system, but anyway, they're going to be assessed a 35-cent per mile higher rate. And y'all know why that is. Oversized permits, just getting trucks to haul it. Simple. Y'all know it. It's no secret to you. Alright, proof of delivery and receipts. These are the things that everybody's going to have to prove what they did. Okay, the white copy will be the trucking copy. The yellow copy will be for the producer, and the red will be for the receiver. Alright, so the farmer, he will fill these out. They're a 3-piece deal. They've got a room for a signature of a driver, and when that farmer loads that truck, that driver must sign that invoice right there. That proves for the farmer that load hauled that load or loaded that hay, and he sent him out of there with that load of hay. Okay, then when the driver gets to the other end, that receiver must sign the place for the receiver to sign. That proves that he delivered it. Okay, he also needs to sign the scale ticket. That scale ticket proves 1, proof of delivery, 2, that you saw and had the ability to get a copy of that scale ticket if there wasn't one to give you. Now the driver must maintain that copy of the scale ticket that has your signature and a copy of your signature on his invoice. That's what he sends in to get paid. I don't mean to be a hard butt, but the fact is, if this paperwork isn't done, I don't pay. Simple as that. Because obviously you didn't do your job right, and most likely somebody's going to come back, whether it's a buyer and say, hey, I never got that load of hay, or seller and say, hey, I sent an extra load of hay, where'd it go? I just don't want the problems. Everybody needs to do their job right. Not asking for a lot, just be professional. Alright, the scales and weights. I will never ask a truck to go overweight anywhere. If they choose to do it on their own, that's their baby. I am not asking them to do it. So we literally, or usually, load trucks to 80,000 pounds. I know that there's areas, you're sitting in Montana and Wyoming, Colorado, you can haul 85,000, you can haul 90,000, depends on the axles, etc., etc. Trains, that's all fine and good. Now when we're talking up there, then you're more than welcome to load them trains. We'll be trying to load trains. But for the basic system, everything's got to be figured on an 80,000 ton or 80,000 pound weight limit. Every truck will be weighed at a scale that is certified for agricultural use by the state that it's in. Okay? Means it's got to be a legit scale. It's got to be state certified. Alright, that scale cannot be any further than 10 air mile radius from the stack. If that's not capable, if it's not possible, I do know that there's places that that's not possible. I deal with them all the time. In your contracts that you fill out, it will stipulate in there where the scale is at and how many miles. So buyers, pay attention. Read those contracts and those little comments, because that's going to make a lot of difference to you. And when you enter into those contracts, you're accepting that that scale may be 10 miles away. And yes, you will be buying on the producer's scale. Okay? Simple fact. Okay, the scales have to be 10 air mile radiuses from the stack. If this is not possible, then it'll be right in the contract. It'll be noted, hey, closest scale is 40, 50 miles away. And you're just going to have to buy it on that standard. We all know that there are those situations in places in this country that there just isn't anything you can do about that. But the scales must be state certified for agricultural use and trade. I don't want any split scales. They need to be full length scales. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. Payments. I've already went over that with you. Producers will paid on every Friday for Wednesday. Trucks paid every Thursday for paperwork on Tuesday. Buyers will be invoiced by email every Monday. Okay, all conflicts, any conflicts that arise, first thing that's going to happen is everything's going to come to a screeching halt for that contract. No more trucks will be loaded. No more trucks will be sent. Okay? If a buyer rejects a load, they're allowed to reject a load. Now they reject that load, they still have to unload that truck. They can unload it wherever, somewhere, where it's safe, but away from everything else. They have to call me within 24 hours. My number is out there. Just because I'm, whatever, the CEO, doesn't mean that I'm too good to answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning. By God, you call me. Don't hurt my feelings a bit. Alright, when you reject that load, I want you to send me pictures and a reason why you rejected that load. Say, hey, I bought a contract that says this hay is 170 test hay. This hay ain't no 170 test hay. Good enough. That's the reason that I need to hear. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my rep come down there. He's going to pull some core samples of that load of hay. We're going to send it in. Once we send it in, we get the results back. Let's say the results come back and they say, hey, that's 130 RFV hay. Okay, my first call is probably not going to be to you. My first call is going to be to that producer and say, hey, Johnny, you remember that load of hay that got rejected about 3-4 days ago? You know why I got rejected? I'm sure you do. Because somewhere you stuck a load of hay from another stack and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and send this. Nobody will ever say anything. Well, they said something, Johnny. And you know what? Now you're going to pay the trucking bill. You're going to pay for any damages, lost damages. You're going to find a replacement contract. And guess what, Johnny? Your hay is sitting in Colorado, sitting in Montana, sitting wherever. You go get it. You got a week to have it off their premises. And oh yeah, Johnny, guess what? You're done on my system. You're blackballed. And yes, I do mean it literally. And yes, I do mean this is what's going to happen. Because if you try to screw somebody once, you're going to try to do it twice. I don't want you on the system. It's integrity, honesty, simplicity. Okay? So I got to be that extreme so that it's not worth doing. I got to make it where it's not worth doing. Okay? Now say the same thing comes back and says, hey, this hay come back, the test came back at 170. Well, then my call is going to be to the buyer. And I'm going to say, hey, you rejected this load, said it was a 170 test hay. Well, I hate to tell you this, but here's your copy of the test results. It's 170 test hay. So if that's not the hay that you're looking for, you might need to educate yourself or your employees on what it is you are looking for, because that's what it tested. That's the hay you bought, and you owe for the hay. Okay? If you don't like that, you're more than welcome to be done on the system too. Just that simple. I don't mean to be a hard butt, but you know, sometimes a lot of us are pretty hard-headed, and that's just the way it's got to be. Alright, next. I'm going to try to speed it up if I can figure out how to run this.
Right there.
Okay, you saw the Olson Lab page. This is another page of the breakdown. Y'all are familiar with this. I know you're all familiar with this. You know that anything less than 130 is basically feeder hay, grinder hay. Depends on how much mold it's got, etc. 130, 150 is good cow hay, dry cow hay for the dairy guys. 150 to 170, that's where you're going to get for your good old beef cattle or marginal for light dairy hay. That's also kind of going to be where your horse hay's at. Now, any horse hay that is listed on my site will either come from one of the 5 states that the United States Department of Agriculture has deemed blister bug free, and that is Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Utah. Any hay from outside those areas, you may call it horse hay, that's your choice. I'm selling it as cow hay. Plain and simple. I don't mean any offense to the producers. Most producers will agree with me. It's not risk the cost of somebody having a horse die, and it might have been a $200 plug the day before, but now that he's laying there dead, he's a $25,000 rope horse. Just not going to deal with it. Okay?